Alrighty, the time has come. I have finished book 2 in the Faithful and the Fallen series, Valor, by John Gwynne or Gwynne. I'm still not sure how you pronounce his last name. Obviously, I am in a different location because I am home at my parents' for the summer, and I haven't uploaded because I've been very busy with summer school and whatnot. But now I am free. I have written the script and everything. So, introduction, I guess, is the next thing. Forewarning, again, this is a book review. There will be spoilers for the book, so go read Valor before watching. All right, so I thought it was great. You know, I think for me, it's pretty much on the same level. I think because it did feel like it was a second setup book, because most of it focused on Corbin accepting that he's the bright star and stuff like that, and that they're gaining more power throughout the continent. I read like the first 8 chapters and then didn't pick it up for a while. That's mainly because I got busy with other stuff, like school and whatnot. But once I did start reading it again, I tore through that thing pretty fast. So yeah, it did add quite a bit in terms of lore and stuff. Also, I'm doing this ranking differently. Right now I only have 4 categories, and then each category I'll rank from 1 on a 1 to 10 scale. I plan on having 5, but I don't know what to do for the 5th one. So the 4 categories I have right now are characters, world building, plot, and then emotional impact. I don't really have a 5th one. But those will each of those categories will then be scored from 1 out of 10, 1 being absolute crap. It was horrible and it made me want to not read it, and 10 being perfect. So nothing is going to be getting a 10 pretty much, because nothing is perfect. But so, and then like 9, obviously, like 7 to like 9 will probably be great, with like excellent or something like that, along those lines. I might make a video on how I score things later. So first category up is characters, which I gave a 9 out of 10. Oh wait, before I get into that. So I wanted 5 categories so that each will be scored on a scale of 1 to 10, and then the overall score will be based off on how those categories did. So out of 5. So you take in each category into the count of the overall score. But since I only have 4, I'm still doing a 5 out of 10 right now, but because I do want to add another category to judge it on, but I'm not sure what that should be. All right, characters. We're starting off with my favorite character, Corbin, which had far less spotlight, I felt, in this book, because in the last one, in Malice, it was basically you had somebody else, a chapter of somebody else, and then you had Corbin, then somebody else, and then Corbin, and somebody else, and then Corbin. So it kind of felt like Corbin was every other chapter, whereas in this book he definitely was not, because we focused on quite a bit of other characters and some new characters that got introduced. But I didn't mind that, because really he was just running away pretty much the entire time. So I didn't really mind that much. Now I will say that I did enjoy him slowly coming to accept that he's the bright star, especially whenever for Tuchel and the 100, I think is what they're called, of the Ahar that left before Nathair arrived. Right? So they were in Drassel the entire time. But then they went to go, because Michael came back, and so they all went to go find Corbin. And then they did, which is lucky that they did, because Corbin was about to be freaking killed by Azeroth, until Michael and some of the Ben Elam saved him. So good on them. Now I do feel like Corbin got like zero wins throughout this entire book. He was on the run for most of it, and then he gets kidnapped and almost killed by Ren, and then whenever he finally does get a win from rescuing his sister Cywin, his mom dies. So the only win he gets is that he gets the 100 AR and stuff. He gets his soldiers is basically his only win. Whereas Nathair, is like taking over everybody. Now I do think so. I kind of liked his relationship with Corlin. But we'll see how that goes in the future, because obviously they could relate to each other, and I think I'll talk about that more in her chapter, because I think it's more significant for her than it is for Corbin's character. Now, what did bother me is that Corbin did not try to comfort Adana, who's a friend of his, at all. And this bothered me even more, because whenever Heb died, he goes to comfort Brenna, but he never went. Whenever Adana's father died, he never even thought to go and try to just be there for her, I guess. Like, he never even went up to talk to her, pretty much. So that kind of bothered me, because I don't think that really fits with. Maybe it does. It just bothers me, because then he later does it. He later goes to comfort Brenna, but he doesn't at all comfort Adana. So, or even try to. But that's pretty much the only complaint I had about Corbin. Outside of that, I think it was great. He's still very entertaining to read. And he did also start learning the earth powers until Heb died, and then he kind of stopped, and then now Brenna's teaching him again, I think. So and now that they have Cywin back, I would really like to see both her and Corbin learning how to use the earth powers, because I think she needs more in her arsenal if she's going to be put in danger again. Also, we learned that the earth powers are far more dangerous than we suspected, which we'll get into that with Lycos and Calidus, I'm sure. But yeah, next character is Macwin. Now, Macwin, I was not expecting to like Macwin as much as I do now, because I liked Castell and his whole relationship with, I don't know if you pronounce it like Jael or whatever, however you pronounce his name, his like cousin or whatever. Because like I kind of like that, and like he would have to come to him being like, okay, I'm just imagining that all these people hate me. They actually don't all hate me, which is what he was doing. And then he got brutally murdered and betrayed. But Mac Gwynne lived. So I was like, oh, well, great. We got Castell's dead and we get Mac Gwynne. But Mac Gwynne went on a very, very arduous journey. Obviously, he hates hell now and he wants revenge. But it is cool because he puts his honor before that. He goes with his Gadrai brothers, the two remaining ones. I don't remember what the other guy's name was, because I didn't write his name down, and I don't have the book with me. I left it at my college apartment, so yeah. But Orgel, I do remember because he was more prevalent. The other guy was like really young and he had an injured leg and stuff. So, and then there's lots of betrayal in these books. I realize like that the King of Helveth gets betrayed by his like royal guard, and then the royal guard then blames Orgel and the Gadrai and Mac Gwynne for killing the king, which obviously doesn't make any sense. But yeah, so also, fun note is that Orgel actually knows Michael and and knows of the God War pretty much. And he's told Mac Gwynne about it, and the other guy. He told both of them about it, I think. And then also, Mac Gwynne had a good character moment with Veritas, because before they went underground to fight the giants and get the Starstone axe back, Veritas told them, hey, be careful of which side you're on. And then they got betrayed and Castell died. And then now Mac Gwynne repeated that to him, to Veritas. Be careful what side you're on. Because obviously Veritas is very close to Netherus, and they both think that Netherus is the bright star. But now, with that being put in his head, he's starting to question that, which I think is good, because he was kind of being dumb in the last book, with thinking that one of the other kings killed the High King, in his own castle and then ran away, which makes no sense. But I really like what happened with Mac Gwynne, and like I like his entire story. Like from like right after Castell died, I wasn't that interested, because like it was just, again, it was them kind of just trying to run away and outpace them to get to somebody so that they could tell them what happened. But later, whenever Mac Gwynne and Orgel get captured by Lycos and taken to the fighting pits on the Vindalin Islands, that was pretty good, because like the only thing driving Mac Gwynne was his revenge against Yahel, or I don't know how you pronounce that guy's name. But yeah, so, and then, I mean, that was just great. And then, obviously, felt like he was starting to slowly lose his humanity, because he has to fight, kill in all these pits, until he's put up against Orgel, and then he's like, I'm not going to kill my brother. And then there was that whole revolt that happened, and all that jazz, which was great. And now the Queen, Nether's mom, owes Mac Gwynne greatly, so we'll see how that plays out in the next book, which I'm excited for. All right, third character up is Veritas. I like him a lot more in this one, especially since his kind of questioning. I mean, I mean, it's not necessarily questioning because he still follows orders pretty much the entire time, but he is like we get more of him being like every time he uses his shield wall, he's like, this feels really dishonorable. Why are we using this tactic? He's like, I understand that it's good for killing people, but it just doesn't feel right to be using it. And then he had an interesting relationship with Cywin, Corbin's sister, which I hope gets developed further because I would like Veritas to turn to the good side. So yeah, so he's having a very big moral struggle, and then there was his friendship with Alcyon, which I think is, it's good. But also we did this the first time. He was called Veritas was called Trueheart, which is one of which was mentioned in the prophecy in the first book. So, yeah, I hope we'll see more of him, obviously, because he's like the right hand man of Nether. But I hope we see more of his like confliction with what they're doing, and stuff. All right, but that's pretty much it for Veritas. I wouldn't say much. I mean, he's still not my favorite character, but I like him a lot more than I did in the first book. Because in the first book, he was kind of just like, my father doesn't accept me. And then he was like, oh. And then he became real dumb. All right. Number 4, Lycos. I don't have much to say about Lycos, except he is a horrible person. He is a horrible, horrible person. I mean, he obviously enslaves people, right? He is very greedy. I think that's fairly obvious. I think the only reason he is working with Nether is because he wants to expand. So, from the 3 islands. And then there was that whole thing with Fidel. He used his voodoo doll that Calidus gave him, and he, forced himself onto Fidel. So makes you not like the guy that much, because apparently his king's mom is fair game for that stuff. So yeah, Lyco's very bad person. Now we did get some chapters from his perspective, and he's greedy for both money, power, and glory. Like, he wants to be remembered in history. Pretty much, that's his motivation. And he will pretty much do whatever the fuck he wants. So, as we saw whenever he, assaulted his king's mom. So, all right, next I want to talk about is Tuchel and Michael. They don't have much going on because there wasn't, obviously Michael, I don't think is a readable perspective. All we got from Michael is his is either from Corbin's perspective whenever he was in the spiritual realm, and I think Michael led a group of the Ben Elam into Azeroth's castle to rescue Corbin. And then other than that, we see Michael mainly from Tuchel's perspective. Now, Tuchel, I like mainly, I mean, we don't get much of him. He doesn't have many chapters, but we get to see him basically thirst for battle pretty much, and yearn to see Gar again because he is Gar's father. Which I like their relationship with that. Whenever they do reunite, him and Gar seem very, they're happy to see each other again. So they always have a good relationship. And then also, I don't know, it might be Michael that teaches Corbin and Cywin the Earth powers. I don't know if Cywin will learn the Earth powers. I want her to, but I don't know if she will. Also, it's what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, we also saw some of Michael's abilities because he basically like dies, and then, which I mean is him entering into the spiritual realm. I feel like, and then he uses that to go find Corbin, basically, and their story is going to find Corbin. Is pretty much all that they do until they find him, and then they go into the Benothi castle and save Cywin, and then they leave. They get the axe though. They get the Starstone axe, which is also really nice. But yeah, they don't do that much. I have no idea where they'll be going because they could either go back to Drassel or they could reunite with Adana. So they have two options basically. So who knows where they'll all be going in the next book. All right, now Cywin. There's not much to say about Cywin because a lot of her impact on the story was with the other characters. Like she freed Pindrathan and I can't remember the guy's name, but some soldier from Owain's army. And then, whenever Evanus betrayed them and whatnot, in Ether, they both betrayed Owain to Ren, and then Ren killed Owain. Yeah. And then there's obviously her many attempts to escape. I say escape. She mainly tried to kill people and then didn't care about escaping. So yeah. Like she tried to kill. It wasn't Rafe. What's his face? It was Rin's first sword. I don't remember his name. But she tried to kill him, and then I think she also might have tried to kill somebody else, but I don't remember who. Don't think it was Nathair. She tried to kill somebody else. But yeah, that's pretty much all she did. Other than that, she had some character moments. I mean, her main goal was trying to keep Shield safe, for her brother. But other than that, there's mainly just kind of her impact on the characters around her, like Veritas and Alcyon. Because Alcyon and Veritas, Veritas was put in charge of her, and then they started getting close, right? And then later, because Veritas had to stay and fight the armies of Domhain with Ren, while Nathair and the rest of them and the Ahar went up to the Benothi Castle fortress. And then Cywin was taken with them to that fortress and was kept under guard by Alcyon instead, which they also then became friends, I guess. I don't think necessarily friends is the right term, but I don't know. I don't know what the right term would be for that. Because they weren't necessarily friends, but they were nice to each other, I guess. All right, next character, Camlin. He is interesting. He's very useful in like the first half of the book, while they're all running away, because he lived in the forest for a very long time. So he's very good at, navigating through the wilderness and such. Now, I will say that we didn't get much. I wouldn't say we didn't get much in the terms of his relationships, because we know that he had a good friendship with Merrick. R.I.P. Merrick. He's now dead, and he got his hand cut off before he died, which sucks. So, but yeah, we didn't really get to see much of his friendship with Merrick. We got to see him grow. So, back on subject. So, Merrick died, and then Camlin, we didn't, like I was saying, he didn't really have much in the terms of seeing his relationship. We saw his interest in Corbin. Like, he's like, because he's like, this guy seems interesting. But what I really like is that his loyalty, like, he has an internal conflict. Like, his mind keeps saying, it's like, you're not loyal to these people. Who are these people? Just leave them. But he obviously, he doesn't. And he's actually one of the only ones still with Adana now. I think it's him, Farrell and Dath are with Corbin. Hallion was captured by his brother Connell, and then Merrick is dead. So yeah, it's pretty much just it's just Camlin and Adana, and I think the guard that Raph sent with them. Nice. All right, character number 8, Evnis. Played a very minor role in this time. His main accomplishment was his betrayal of Owain. And that was pretty much it. We got to see him be angry that Vaughn took the book that taught the Earth powers, and we got to see him hoping that Vaughn would come around. Vaughn is with Adana as well. Vaughn is with Adana and Camlin as well. So she has those two people, and then that's pretty much it. And then now he's rolling Dunkerque as well. So that's pretty much all he did. He didn't do much. We still don't like that guy, because he was behind the death of. He was the leading force of Brennan and Owain going to war, because he killed Owain's son while using the Earth powers to look like Merrick. But yeah, he didn't do that much, because I think he was really only prevalent in like the first half of the book, and then we stopped getting his chapters because he was in Dunkerque and everybody else left. So, all right. Character number 9, we'll be talking about Corlin. She was introduced in this book, and she is Hallion and Connell's, I think, half-sister, or maybe they're actually related. I don't think they are, though, because the king got around, just saying. He got around for sure until one of his children actually killed him, so... because they were under siege. So yeah, that kind of sucks. But she has been set up as a love interest for Corbin. And she's kind of interesting. Because obviously she's kind of described as very beautiful, which she does not like because she does not like the attention that it gives her, and she does not like being looked down upon by all the men. So Corbin doesn't look down upon her, and at first he wanted nothing to do with her at all. So obviously she likes him the best. She's very skilled. She's very skilled in combat and stuff. And I would say that she and Corbin have quite a bit in quotation marks in common. Mainly, they both have siblings that they thought are dead, and then they turn out to not be dead. Except one of them has a sister who's actually a good person, and the other one has a brother that's actually not a good person because he betrayed his family for power. Because now I think Connell is the leader, the surrogate leader of Domain in Ridden's stead. So yeah, I mean that's pretty much all she does. I mean, she basically helps Corbin get to Benoth because she guides them there and stuff. So she basically kind of replaces Catelyn in that sense. But I think we'll probably see their relationship grow in the next two books. But, I mean, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. All right, number 10, Fidel, Nether's mother. The main thing that she does is she gets raped by Lycos. But also, before that happens, her main purpose kind of seems like to give more information on the prophecy through the research that one of Veritas' brothers was doing. I'm not really sure what it was what they said, but it was implying something about Calidus and Michael. So mainly about Calidus not being a good person, which is true. But other than that, she doesn't really do much. There's obviously the fighting pit stuff again that reoccurs, but then obviously Lycos uses the voodoo doll that Calidus gave him to then take control of the capital city and start building fighting pits. He actually was this close to marrying Fidel, but before that happened, the Eagle Guards started a revolt, which Maquin and Orgel then joined, and that kind of distracted Lycos, and he lost the doll that gave him power over Fidel, and Fidel stabbed him in the side, but unfortunately it doesn't seem like he's dead, because it just said he vanished, so that sucks. But yeah, looking forward to, I think she will have Maquin, something's going to go on with her and Maquin, and then she's going to, execute all the Venthalin, pretty much, I think, or banish them from ever entering the city. Or the country. I mean, which is fair. Alright. But that's pretty much it for her. Because once again, a lot of these characters don't have that many chapters to them. I think Kaladin and Kaladin is a different character from a different series altogether. Corbin and Maquin, I think, had the most chapters. All right, number 11, we will discuss Alcyon and Calidus. So, I think it's fairly obvious that Calidus is most certainly one of the Cadoshim, and then Michael is one of the Benellim. I mean, it still hasn't been necessarily said that they are, but I think that's pretty obvious that they are. And then again, Calidus, mainly what Calidus did is he gave the voodoo doll to, I mean, I don't know what it's called, but it's pretty much a voodoo doll, right? Because it's like a little doll with hair in it that lets you control the person that's hair is in the doll. So it's a voodoo doll. But he basically just gives Lycos that doll, and then he uses the cauldron to turn some of the Ehar into Kadoshim, and then that's pretty much all he does. Well, also he keeps a close eye on Cywin as well. I'm also pretty sure that it was implied that Calidus had a doll of Alcyon, and that's why Alcyon was obeying him. Because I think multiple times in the book, Alcyon said, it's like, yeah, well, I have to follow Calidus. It's like, I can't not follow him. It's pretty much what he said. So that kind of implies that he does have that Calidus has a doll of Alcyon, which, I mean, doesn't matter anymore because dude's dead. So dude died, got killed, which is unfortunate because I liked him quite a bit. But, you know, that happens. He's dead. Got the Starstone Axe taken from him. Now, but that's pretty much all that happened with him, to be honest. Which it's not much, because they again just followed Nithir around and went to get the cauldron. That's pretty much all that they did. Alright. Number 12 in the characters is Nithir, who we'll be talking about. Which he is pretty much the exact same as he was in the first book. He thinks he's the bright star, and he's not. And so he kind of just it gets manipulated by Calidus and Ren so that they can appease Azeroth. And then, but I mean, with the whole thing with the cauldron, maybe he realizes, like, oh crap, well, I guess I'm not the bright star. What I think might happen is that Calidus will use the cauldron to turn Nithir into a host for Azeroth. So I think that might happen. Because I don't see how he could see all this happening with the cauldron and be like, I'm still the good guy, you know? But I don't know. He's there, that's for sure. So we'll see what happens with him. Because, I mean, I don't think there's any character perspective that's still with him. At the moment, anyways. Veritas will still be with him. Eventually. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with him. And then last up, we have Euthes, who is a giant of the Benothi tribe, and is yet another traitor. So he betrays his queen and lets Nithir in so they can get the cauldron. And that's pretty much all he does. Right? He's actually, he lives. Right? But that's pretty much all he does. So he'll have some of the Benothi with him, and some of the Benothi are going with Corbin. So they both have giants now, so that's pretty neat. Corbin, good job on getting giants. It's about damn time. But yeah, his main contribution to the story was the betrayal. Also, he killed Heb, so he did that too. So fuck this guy. All right, second category. Category number 2. I gave it a 7 out of 10, mainly because it wasn't as... I don't think it was as prevalent as it was in the first book, because we got lots of prophecy and stuff in the first book. I mean, in this book, we really get to see more. We get to see more of the spiritual realm. Whenever like Ren brought Corbin to Azeroth, or Corbin went another time, and he saw like the Ben Elam killing the cattle ship, and then they're like, the Ben Elam were like, "Who are you?" And then he's like, and didn't answer until he woke up, and then he was back in reality. But other than that, we really learned. We learned some things about the Starstone like artifacts and whatnot, like the cauldron. Apparently, you need all the other ones to destroy the cauldron. And then, I mean, I think we already knew that the cauldron kind of was like a kind of like a gateway from the spiritual realm to the, I don't know, the physical, I guess, realm. And then other than that, I mean, we got to see some more places like Domhain and Cambrin and those places, you know, which, I mean, are much like the same, just forest, pretty much. Other than that, I mean, we learned, I think, a little bit about the goblet treasure, which was, it extends life, so we learned that. But yeah, other than that, that's pretty much it for world building. Next up is plot. Plot, I gave an 8 out of 10. It just mainly just because this book felt like another setup book, but we also already talked about most of the plot in the character section, because obviously plot is character driven. So I mean, that's pretty much it there. Yeah. All right. Plot. Like I was saying, it's mainly, you know, very character driven. So, we already discussed most of what happens in the characters section of the video. But yeah, just brief recap. Nether basically gets everything. I think the only part he doesn't technically have full control over right now is Helveth and Isiltir. Other than that, he's got everything. Everywhere else is pretty much part of his alliance. So yeah. And then Corbin has nothing. But yeah, I mean, obviously we'll see what happens in the future books. But all right, last category, fourth category. I still need one more. Is emotional impact, which I gave a 9 out of 10 because I empathized with what was happening with Fidel. You know, obviously it's very, very horrible that she had to go through that. And it makes you really want to just. It makes you hate Lycos very, very much. Like which is weird because like obviously Calidus is probably the more evil of the two, but like we got to see more personal evil done with Lycos. So yeah, makes you really not like the guy. So yeah. But it also does make you really like some of the other characters like Corbin and Mackwin. Like I was expecting him to be more like kind of boring, you know. But he was great. He's probably my second favorite character now. It goes Corbin, then Mackwin, then probably Camwin. So yeah, it's pretty crazy. But like, I mean, obviously, and like it makes you feel kind of concerned for the characters that you would like, because it shows that like in the first book with Castell, it shows that these prospective characters can be killed off, right? So, I mean, probably not Corbin, but like Mackwin, Like, he almost killed Orgel, which made you be like, oh, well, crap. Did he actually, like, lose his humanity along the way, or is he going to not kill him? And he doesn't, which is good. It's good job, Macwin. And then, obviously, there's that whole situation with Corbin and Ren, where Ren took him to Azeroth, and, like, that was scary, because Azeroth is the big bad of the whole series. And Corbin's there alone in enemy territory. It's like, what the hell's going to happen to this guy? But, so I think it did a pretty good job of getting you emotionally invested into these characters. Alright, overall / conclusion. I gave it a overall score of 4.5 out of 5. It's great continuation, I feel like. Obviously, I think it will start to ramp up when there's the God War actually is. They're like, the Black Sun and the Bright Star are actually clashing and going to war. Because right now that hasn't really been happening. Because Nether's basically just been getting territory, and then Corbin's basically just been on the run. So we'll see what happens in the next 2 books. But yeah, I mean, I think this is the same score that I gave the first book, so it's nice. They stayed on the same level. It's good. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah. I guess one thing left more. Please do subscribe and like and all that jazz, because that helps. So see you in the next one.